In 1991, I was the first Holy Communion Catechism pupil at St. Martin de Porres Karuri Catholic Church. Our catechist was called Susan, and she taught us something about prayers. She told us that a prayer must be genuine, sincere, direct, about self and other people. And as I followed the annual National Prayer Breakfast this morning at Safari Park, I got wondering, what would Susan say about it? Prayer is important. Prayer is powerful. It is also a good thing to see our political, religious, business and social leaders converge for prayers. That politicians can drop their political regalia and manners, don't suits, good manners and piety to pray is a commendable thing. But as the organizers of next year's breakfast embark on preparations for that event, I invite them to read an article by Kathyrn Shirey titled Prayer and Possibilities. She outlines 7 essential keys to an effective prayer. Prayer is sincere. Prayer is sensible. Prayer is the affectionate pouring out of the heart or soul to God through Christ. Effective prayers are prayed through the strength and assistance of the Holy Spirit. Prayer should be for such things as God has promised according to His word. Prayer should not be selfish, but should always be focused on the good of the church and others, and prayer should be done in faith and with submission to the will of God. I propose to focus on the first aspect. Prayer is sincere. On this, she says, and I agree with her, set aside any false front, any pretense of who you think you should be, and simply present your true and sincere self to God in prayer. You don't need to have fancy words or all the answers. You don't need to pretend to be more than who you are in this moment. Simply open up your heart to God and be honest and sincere, even if that means sharing your doubts and disbeliefs, your disappointments and discouragements, your struggles and grief. As the 19th National Prayer Breakfast was staged, the political environment and circumstances are obvious. We have 73 days to the general election. President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto, who are present during the prayers, are on opposing political camps. Today, the president and his deputy could not even share a table for prayers. The president sat at a table of 3 with Chief Justice Martha Koome and Attorney General Kihara Kariuki, while Ruto found solace among his Kenya Kwanza compatriots, Speakers Justin Muturi and Ken Lusaka. A national prayer breakfast in the true spirit of acrimony and political friction. Last year, they shared a table. One would obviously question the sincerity of today's prayer session. Of course, the argument would be they don't see eye to eye politically, that they say unkind things to each other on the political podium, and that there is no need of pretending. Good point. But I remember what the good book would advise the president and his deputy in the book of Matthew 5:23-24. Therefore, if you're offering your gift at the altar, and there you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar, first go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift. And then the deputy president was seeking forgiveness from the president for their fractured relationship as well as failures of the Jubilee administration. Penance and reconciliation is a whole different discourse. Suffice to say, an apology should be specific and not general, and unconditional. What specific error of omission or commission was the deputy president apologizing for? And for the president from whom the forgiveness was being sought, why would he not acknowledge the request? Well, all that in a national prayer breakfast. I also got thinking, how national was the prayer breakfast? For a country of 50 million plus citizens, how representative was that event? Would that young, educated but jobless man or woman feel part of the prayer event? What about that parent whose child passed the 2021 KCPE, was called to a secondary school, but has been unable to join due to lack of school fees and other essentials? What about that man or woman who is unable to bury their kin, whose body has been detained in a morgue due to unpaid hospital bills? What about that person who has frequented the corridors of justice for years in search of justice, maybe for their grabbed piece of land or any other issue? Unfortunately, the people holding the keys to unlocking such challenges were in that prayer meeting room. My prayer item is that on the 9th of August this year, Kenyans will make the right decisions and choices at the ballot. It is not enough to pray. On that day, wake up, go and vote. Because as Mother Teresa reminded us, prayer without action is no prayer at all. You have to do your work as if everything depends on you. Then leave the rest to God. And that is my prayerful punchline.